Short. Strong. Espresso English.
Fuel your day. Let's learn.
You're standing in front of your fridge on a Friday night, and somehow that's the hardest decision of your week.
Harder than any work email. Harder than choosing a Netflix show. Just, what do I eat tonight?
This is Espresso English. I'm Aria.
And I'm James. This is a B1 level episode perfect for intermediate learners. Beginners, you're welcome too.
Today's topic, cook at home or eat out. And we're not just talking about food, we're talking about what your choice actually says about you.
Because here's the thing. It's never really about the food, is it? It's about how you're feeling, what you need, what kind of night you want to have.
Quick question before we dive in, and we want a fast answer, no overthinking. When you get home after a long day, are you team A, you open the fridge and start cooking? Or team B, you open a delivery app and start scrolling? Drop A or B in the comments right now.
We genuinely want to know. And honestly, your answer might surprise you.
Here's what we discovered making this episode. The choice between cooking and eating out isn't about laziness or effort. It's about something much deeper. Your emotional state, your need for control, and what taking care of yourself actually means to you.
And there's one idea we kept coming back to, a concept from behavioral psychology that explains why some people find cooking energizing and others find it completely draining. Same kitchen. Totally different experience.
We'll get into that. But first, stay until the end for our word tour. 5 expressions you'll actually use: whip up, comfort food, take out, from scratch, and unwind. Real words, real context, real conversations.
And right now, we're guessing you're either on your couch, commuting somewhere, or, and this is our favorite, you're actually in the kitchen, half listening while you figure out dinner.
Which is perfect, because later we'll give you one tiny question to ask yourself before you make that choice. Just one. But first,
Let's talk about why this decision feels so loaded in the first place. Okay, so let me paint a picture. It's Friday. You survive the week, you walk through your front door, drop your bag, and the kitchen is right there. And I genuinely think cooking is the better choice. Every single time.
every single time? That's a bold claim, James.
Hear me out. When you cook, you're in control. You decide what goes in, how much, how it tastes. You can whip up something simple in 20 minutes and feel like you actually did something with your evening. That feeling matters.
I get that. There's something satisfying about making a meal from scratch, like you started with raw ingredients and ended up with actual food. That's not nothing.
Exactly. And it's not just about the food. It's about the ritual. Chopping vegetables, hearing the oil hit the pan, the smell filling your apartment. It's almost meditative. It tells your brain the workday is over. I'm home. I'm in charge now.
Okay, but James, be honest. How often do you actually do that on a Friday night? Because in my experience, the gap between I'll cook something nice and I'm ordering takeout and watching TV is about 4 minutes.
Okay, fair. Maybe not every Friday, but the intention is there.
The intention. That's doing a lot of heavy lifting right there.
Look, even when I do order takeout, I feel a little guilty, like I let myself down somehow.
And that's actually the problem, isn't it? We've attached so much meaning to this choice. Cooking means you're disciplined, you're adulting properly, you respect your body. Eating out means you're tired, you gave up, you're being lazy.
But that framing isn't really fair, is it?
Not at all, because sometimes going out for dinner or ordering in is exactly how you unwind after a brutal week. You're not failing, you're choosing to be taken care of for one evening, and that's a completely valid emotional need.
I've never thought about it that way. Like, the restaurant isn't just selling food, it's selling the experience of not having to think.
Right. Someone else planned the menu. Someone else did the prep. Someone else will clean up. For someone who's been making decisions all day, that is genuinely comfort food for the brain. not just the stomach.
Comfort food for the brain. I love that. So you're saying the choice isn't really about cooking versus not cooking. It's about what kind of comfort you need?
That's exactly what I'm saying. And here's where it gets interesting. Some people find cooking energizing. It gives them a sense of mastery, of control. They whip up a meal and feel genuinely restored. But for others, especially after a high-pressure day, the last thing they want is another task that requires focus and decision-making.
So the same activity, cooking, can be either restorative or draining, depending on the person and the day.
Exactly. And neither response is wrong. The problem is when we judge ourselves for which one we are. When we tell ourselves, I should want to cook from scratch tonight, even when every part of us is screaming for a bowl of takeout noodles on the sofa.
Guilty. I've definitely stood in my kitchen, staring at a pan, thinking, why does this feel like homework right now?
Because sometimes it is homework, and homework on a Friday night is nobody's idea of unwinding.
So what's the actual answer? Is there a smarter way to make this choice? One that doesn't come with a side of guilt?
There is. And by the way, there's a concept from behavioral psychology that explains the whole pattern. It's called behavioral consistency theory. We'll break it down properly in the next act. So here's the theory. Behavioral consistency theory says that people tend to act in ways that align with their self-image. If you see yourself as someone who takes care of things, you'll default to cooking. If you see yourself as someone who deserves ease, you'll default to eating out.
So it's not really about the food at all. It's about identity.
Exactly. Your choice reinforces who you think you are, and that's why it feels so loaded. Every time you pick one over the other, you're making a tiny statement about yourself.
That makes so much sense. Like, when I cook, I feel productive. When I order takeout, I feel, like I'm cutting corners.
Right, but here's the thing. That guilt you feel, it's not based on reality. It's based on the story you've told yourself about what good people do on a Friday night.
Okay, but wait. Isn't there something to be said for discipline? Like if you always take the easy route, doesn't that become a problem?
Hold on. Are you saying ordering food is the easy route?
I mean, kind of. You're outsourcing the work. You're not putting in the effort.
But that's exactly the mindset I'm challenging. Why is effort automatically better? Why is doing more work inherently more virtuous?
Because you're building a skill. You're being self-sufficient. You're not dependent on someone else to feed you.
But what if self-sufficiency isn't what you need that night? What if what you actually need is rest? Is permission to stop performing?
I hear you, but doesn't that become a slippery slope? Like if you always choose the path of least resistance, you never grow.
I have to disagree. Choosing rest isn't the same as choosing stagnation. Sometimes the most growth happens when you stop pushing and start listening to what you actually need.
But if everyone just did what felt easiest in the moment, nothing would ever get done. You'd never cook. You'd never clean. You just exist in a state of permanent comfort.
Okay, now you're catastrophizing. I'm not saying never cook. I'm saying check in with yourself first. Ask, what do I need right now? Control or care?
But how do you know you're not just rationalizing laziness? Like maybe you tell yourself, I need care tonight, when really you just don't feel like cooking.
That's a fair question. And honestly, sometimes you won't know. But here's the difference. If you make the choice consciously, with awareness, it stops being about guilt. You're not failing, you're deciding.
So it's about intentionality, not just defaulting to one or the other, but actually choosing based on what serves you.
Exactly. And that's where behavioral consistency theory gets really useful. Once you understand that your choice is tied to identity, you can start questioning whether that identity is even accurate. Like, maybe you're not the person who always cooks. Maybe you're not the person who knows when to cook and when to let go.
That's a much more flexible identity.
And a much healthier one. Because the rigid version, the one that says I must always cook or I'm failing, that's exhausting. And it's not sustainable.
Okay, I'm starting to see your point. But I still think there's value in building the habit of cooking, like even when you don't feel like it. Sometimes doing it anyway builds resilience.
But that's missing the point. Resilience isn't about forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. It's about knowing when to push and when to rest. And if you're always pushing, you're not resilient, you're just burned out.
That actually resonates. I've definitely felt that. Like I cook because I think I should, not because I want to. And then I resent the whole process.
Exactly. And that resentment, that's your body telling you something. It's saying, this isn't serving you right now. And ignoring that signal doesn't make you disciplined, it just makes you disconnected.
So the real skill isn't cooking or not cooking, it's knowing which one you actually need.
Now you're getting it, and here's the practical part. Next time you're standing in front of your fridge, ask yourself one question. Do I want control right now, or do I want care? That's it. One question, and whatever answer comes up, trust it.
That's so simple, but I can see how it would change everything.
It does, because suddenly you're not judging yourself, you're just responding to what's true.
And if the answer is, I want care, then ordering takeout isn't giving up. It's actually taking care of yourself.
Exactly. And if the answer is, I want control, then cooking becomes a gift you're giving yourself, not a chore you're forcing yourself through.
I love that reframe. It makes the whole choice feel lighter.
That's the goal. Less guilt, more clarity, and honestly, that's how you build a sustainable relationship with food and with yourself. Okay, so we've talked about the psychology, the guilt, the identity, and hopefully you're feeling a little lighter about the whole thing.
And now it's time for the part I genuinely look forward to every episode, the word tour.
5 expressions that came straight out of today's conversation. Words you can actually use.
Real vocabulary, real context. Let's go.
So let's go back to something James said earlier, that even on a tired night, he can still whip up something simple. That phrase, whip up, is so useful.
Right. Whip up means to make food quickly and without a lot of effort. Like, you're not spending an hour in the kitchen. You're just throwing something together fast.
And the key word there is quickly. It's not a big production. You whip up scrambled eggs. You whip up a sandwich. You whip up some pasta with whatever's in the fridge.
Which is basically my entire cooking repertoire, honestly. I can whip up some pasta in 10 minutes. That's a sentence I say at least twice a week.
Same. And notice it sounds casual, effortless. That's the vibe of whip up. It's not, I prepared a meal. It's, I whipped something up. Much more natural.
Now, the flip side of whipping something up is making it from scratch. And those are very different things.
Very different. From scratch means you're starting with basic ingredients. No shortcuts, no pre-made sauces, no packet mixes. You're building the whole thing yourself from the beginning.
Like, she made the pasta sauce from scratch. That means she used actual tomatoes, garlic, olive oil, not a jar from the supermarket.
And there's a real sense of pride that comes with from scratch, right? It signals effort, skill, intention. When someone says, I made this from scratch, you know they put real time into it.
Which connects back to what we talked about, that feeling of control and mastery. Cooking from scratch is almost a statement. I did this myself.
But then, there are the nights when none of that sounds appealing, and that's when takeout enters the picture.
Takeout. My Friday night best friend.
Takeout is food you order from a restaurant, but eat somewhere else, usually at home. We got takeout because nobody wanted to cook. That's a sentence every household has said at least once a week.
At least. And notice, it's takeout, not takeaway. In American English, it's almost always takeout. British English tends to use takeaway, but takeout is widely understood everywhere.
Good point. And the beauty of takeout is exactly what we discussed. It removes the decision fatigue. Someone else planned it, cooked it, packaged it. You just receive it.
Which brings us to comfort food, because takeout and comfort food often go hand in hand.
Comfort food is food that makes you feel emotionally better, not just physically full. It's the food you reach for when you're stressed, sad, exhausted, or just in need of something familiar.
Fried rice is my go-to comfort food after a bad day. That sentence says everything. It's not about nutrition. It's about feeling held by something warm and familiar.
And everyone's comfort food is different. For some people, it's soup. For others, it's pizza. For me, honestly, it's anything I didn't have to cook myself.
That tracks. And comfort food connects directly to our last word, unwind.
Unwind means to relax and release stress, usually after a long or demanding day. Going out for dinner is how I unwind on Fridays. You're not just eating, you're decompressing, letting the tension go.
And unwind is interesting because it implies a process. You don't unwind instantly. It's gradual, like slowly loosening something that's been wound too tight.
Exactly. So when you choose takeout or go to a restaurant or even just sit down with your comfort food, you might actually be unwinding. And that's not laziness. That's recovery.
So to recap the 5 words in one sentence. After a long week, I didn't cook from scratch. I whipped up some rice, ordered takeout for the rest, ate my comfort food on the sofa, and finally started to unwind.
That's a sentence that basically describes every Good Friday night I've ever had. So here's what we've learned today. The choice between cooking at home and eating out isn't about discipline or laziness. It's about understanding what you actually need in that moment, control or care.
And once you stop judging yourself for which one you pick, the whole decision becomes so much lighter. You're not failing when you order takeout. You're responding to what's true for you that night.
Here's the practical takeaway. Next time you're standing in front of your fridge, ask yourself one simple question. Do I want control right now, or do I want care? That's it. One question, and whatever answer comes up, trust it.
And if you do decide to cook, try setting a low-bar cooking night. Don't aim for perfection. Just open the fridge, use what's there, whip up something simple, and call it a win. The goal isn't a gourmet meal. It's just reconnecting with your kitchen without pressure.
And if you decide to eat out or order in, enjoy it fully. Don't eat with guilt in the background. You made a choice that serves you. That's enough.
Because here's the thing, both options can be acts of self-care. Cooking can be meditative and grounding. Eating out can be restorative and freeing. Neither is better. They're just different tools for different emotional states.
And honestly, the more you practice checking in with yourself, asking what you actually need instead of what you think you should do, the easier these decisions become. Not just with food, but with everything.
It's a skill. And like any skill, it gets stronger the more you use it.
Before you go, we want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments, what's your go-to comfort food when you've had a rough week? We genuinely want to know.
We read every single comment. And who knows, your answer might inspire our next episode.
Thanks for listening to Espresso English. We'll see you next time.
Take care of yourself, however that looks for you tonight.